Hey, English learners! Welcome back to the Speak English Flow, your favorite place to improve your English while talking about real life topics that actually matter. I'm Emma.
And I'm Mohan.
Today, we're talking about something everyone has experienced at least once being late, and more specifically, exactly what to say when it happens.
Yes, being late. The racing heartbeat, the quick steps down the hallway, and that apologetic smile you're already wearing before you even walk in.
You know the exact moment you push open the meeting room door and every single person turns to look at you, and your brain just goes completely blank.
Or you walk in and start saying, so the thing is, my alarm didn't go off, and then there was this bus situation, and actually it started yesterday when I...
Oh, that's painfully accurate. A full courtroom speech when all they needed were 2 words.
But why is it so hard to handle being late gracefully?
That's exactly what we're breaking down today. Here's the good news. There are simple, natural phrases in English that make being late feel a lot less embarrassing. And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly what to say.
Finally, I genuinely need this.
And if these conversations are helping you feel more confident using English in everyday life,
Take a moment to subscribe to Speak English Flow. Your support helps us continue creating practical lessons and real-world conversations just like this one.
we truly appreciate every listener who joins our community. Thanks for being here. And now, let's dive into today's episode. So, why do people struggle so much when they're late? Here's the real reason. When you arrive late, your brain registers it as a social threat. The same survival system that handles physical danger gets activated.
Wait, being 5 minutes late triggers the same response as actual danger?
Exactly. Our brain is wired to care deeply about what the group thinks of us, because thousands of years ago, being rejected by your group could be fatal.
So my brain thinks being late to a 9 a.m. meeting is a matter of life and death.
To your nervous system, completely. Think about it like this. Imagine you accidentally knock over someone's glass of water at a dinner table.
Okay.
If you immediately say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, let me get that," the tension is gone in seconds. But if you stand there going, "I don't know how that happened, the glass was already slippery, and actually the table is a little uneven."
The whole table is just watching the disaster get worse.
Exactly. The longer you wait to address it and the longer you over-explain, the bigger the moment feels. But a short, sincere apology, it smooths everything over almost instantly.
So it's not about having the perfect excuse, it's about how you handle the moment.
That's it exactly. And today, we're going to give you the exact phrases to handle it with confidence.
Okay, so what do we actually say?
The first thing, and this is the most common mistake people make, is starting with the excuse before the apology.
What do you mean exactly?
Most people walk in and immediately say, "So the traffic was terrible and my bus was late and I couldn't find parking," and the apology comes somewhere at the end, if at all.
I definitely do this. Like I'm building a legal case before I've even said sorry.
Right, but here's the thing. The other person isn't really listening to your story. They're waiting for one thing.
I'm sorry?
Exactly. Apology first, always. Say, "I'm so sorry I'm late." Full stop. Just that. And then, if needed, one short reason. We'll talk about that in a moment, but the apology comes first.
Just say sorry before anything else. That simple?
That's simple. When you lead with the apology, you immediately show the other person that you understand their time matters. The tension in the room drops almost instantly.
Because they feel seen. They feel like you actually care.
Exactly. And some useful phrases to remember. "I'm so sorry I'm late." "I apologize for keeping you waiting." Or in a more casual situation, "So sorry, my bad for being late."
Apology first. Every time. Even before I sit down.
Even before you sit down.
Okay, but what if something genuinely happened? Like my train was actually delayed or there was a real emergency?
That's where the second thing comes in. You absolutely can give a reason, but it has to be short. One sentence, not a story.
So what does that actually sound like in English?
Instead of, "So there was this situation on the train and people were pushing and I missed my stop and then I had to walk and then it started raining," you just say, "My train was delayed. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting."
Short, clean, done.
Think of it like a news headline. You're not writing an article, you're giving them the headline only.
Train delayed. Sorry, that's the headline.
That is exactly the headline. And here's the important reason this works. A short reason sounds genuine. A long reason starts to sound like an excuse, like you were trying to reduce your own responsibility.
Oh, so the longer the story, the less believable it actually sounds.
Exactly. People can feel when you're over-explaining. Keep it brief, keep it sincere. Some natural one-sentence reasons: there was a lot of traffic, my previous meeting ran long, I had a family situation this morning, and then, I'm sorry for the delay.
One sentence, that's the rule.
That's the rule. Now, here's one that most people completely forget. After you apologize and give your reason, you need to show that you respect the other person's time directly.
How do you do that?
3 words. Thank you for waiting.
That's it?
But they completely change the energy of the moment, because now you're not just talking about yourself and your excuse. You're turning the attention to them and what they had to do while you weren't there.
Oh. So instead of staying in my own world of apologies, I'm acknowledging what they experienced. I'm saying, your time matters to me.
Exactly. And you can also say, I appreciate your patience, or in a casual situation with friends, thanks for waiting up for me, or even just, I know your time is valuable, thank you.
Such a small phrase, but it changes the whole feeling of the interaction.
Language is like that. And then right after that, you want to make one more move. Show that you're ready to move forward. Don't stay in the apology zone too long.
What do you say?
Something like, let's not waste any more time. Where are we? Or, please carry on. I'll catch up quickly. Or even just, what did I miss?
So you're taking responsibility and then immediately showing that you're not going to make things worse by dragging the moment out.
Perfectly said. Apologize, acknowledge their weight, and move forward.
Okay, but what about when you walk into something that's already happening, like a class or a meeting or a presentation that started without you?
This one is about what I like to call a graceful entry. When you arrive midstream, your main goal is to enter with as little disruption as possible.
What does that look like in English?
So, instead of standing at the door looking lost or interrupting with a big apology in the middle of someone's sentence, you make eye contact with whoever is speaking, give a small nod, and quietly say, "Sorry to interrupt, please carry on." And then you find your seat.
Just sit down? No big explanation right then?
No big explanation in that moment. You can always speak to the person privately afterward, but in the room, the graceful entry means you prioritize the group's time over your own discomfort.
Because the moment I start explaining myself while walking in, I've interrupted everything and made it all about me.
Exactly. And here's a phrase I love for the moment when you finally get a private moment with the person you were late to meet. I won't let it happen again.
A promise, not just an apology.
Right, because an apology says, I feel bad about what happened. A promise says, I respect you enough to make sure this doesn't happen again. That is a much bigger statement.
An apology looks backward. A promise looks forward.
That is exactly it. And when you combine all 4 of these together, apologize first, keep the reason short, thank them for waiting, and enter gracefully, you go from flustered to composed in under 10 seconds.
10 seconds? I can work with 10 seconds.
You absolutely can.
All right, those 4 tips are so practical and easy to remember.
Before we close, let's go over the keywords from today's episode. The first word is apologize, meaning to tell someone you are sorry for something you did that affected them.
Like when you walk in late and say, I'm so sorry. That is apologizing.
Exactly like that. Next, excuse, a reason you give to explain why something went wrong or why you couldn't do what was expected.
So a reason is neutral, but an excuse sometimes sounds like you are avoiding responsibility.
That's a very sharp distinction. A short, honest reason is fine. An excuse is when the story gets too long. Next, delay, when something takes longer than planned or arrives later than expected.
My train was delayed. It didn't arrive on time.
Perfect. Next, acknowledge, to recognize or accept that something happened, especially something that affected another person.
So when I say, thank you for waiting, I'm acknowledging that they had to wait because of me.
Exactly that. Next, sincere. When you genuinely mean what you are saying, it comes from the heart, not from habit.
You can always feel the difference between a sincere apology and one that sounds automatic or fake.
Absolutely. Next, flustered, feeling nervous, confused, or embarrassed, usually because something unexpected went wrong.
That is exactly how I feel when I walk in late and everyone turns to look. My face goes red, completely flustered.
We have all been there. Next, graceful, handling a difficult or awkward situation in a calm, smooth, and composed way.
So the goal is to handle being late in a graceful way, not in a panicked, over-apologizing, too much explaining way.
That is the whole episode in one sentence. Next, brief, short and to the point, without using unnecessary extra words.
Keep the reason brief, one sentence only.
Exactly. And the last word, compose, to calm yourself and regain control of your emotions, especially when you're feeling nervous or embarrassed.
So before I walk through the door, take one breath, compose myself, and then go in calmly.
That one breath makes a bigger difference than most people realize. And those are your key words from today. Use one of them in a sentence this week, and they will stick with you forever.
Try just one. That's enough to start. Those words are so useful, especially when you're trying to handle an embarrassing moment with confidence in real English.
Absolutely. That's what I love about them. They're the kinds of phrases people use every day without even thinking about it.
And with that, we've reached the end of today's episode.
We hope you picked up something useful today and feel a little more confident using English in real-life situations.
If today's episode gave you a few useful phrases you can actually use in everyday conversations,
We'd love for you to subscribe to Speak English Flow and share this episode with a friend who is learning English too.
every new listener and every share helps us keep creating content like this.
Just one friend, that's all it takes.
We'll see you again on the next episode of Speak English Flow.
Keep your English moving forward. Click on the next video and continue learning with us. Bye-bye.